Since time immemorial, and across the continents, humans have used the planet's raw material to create objects and designs, often at monumental scale. Time shrouds many of these works in mystery, their precise purposes forever lost. But then came the 1960s and 70s, when modern-day artists began to experiment with what has become known as land art. Now, 50 years after the early pioneers, a bold, visionary, new artist has burst onto the scene.
Well, Peter Bilson of Space Art Magazine suggested that I talk to you about Roy's sculptures. What Roy has done is really exceptional. I think Roy was carefully working with the idea of Cahokia mounds. The thing that's so amazing about Cahokia, and sometimes it's shortened as to Cahokia rather than Cahokia, you find that this was the largest city, pre-Columbian city, before the conquest. Mounds that they built were humongous. They covered acres of land, and 300-400 feet high originally. And so this becomes really a source material for understanding the cultural significance of Roy's sculptural art in the landscape. Perhaps what's different between Cahokia and Roy's work is the importance of the organic quality of his sculptures. And as natural materials, they do disintegrate. And that clearly was part of his intention, that the disintegration of his sculptures makes them permanent in a curious kind of way.
As a painter, I'm continually amazed by Roy's work ethic and process. He doesn't overthink things. His work just flows.
He reminds me of Andy Goldsworthy in that he uses the materials at hand. Roy's art is site-specific, ephemeral, and anti-commercial.
What I find delightful is his use of space and time, like a jazz musician. Here he stops and holds for a note. There he stretches out of rest. You feel his energy, the push-pull of his work.
Roy's use of organic material is profoundly imaginative and stimulating. Notice that he's precisely placed his urine on the lawn, and in so doing, raises questions. Is he demonstrating how fickle life is by killing the lawn? Or is he showing how life renews itself by fertilizing the lawn? You'll notice that within each of Roy's pointless dots, the lawn is dead and brown, but around the edges of each dot, the lawn is lush and green. So perhaps Roy is making both statements at once.
Roy is completely focused. He's so focused, he won't eat unless I prepare his meals. He won't get a haircut unless I make him an appointment and get him there. If you want to know the truth, Roy is a pain in the ass.
Roy's work is both abstract and concrete. The apparent simplicity of his art belies its complexity. Roy's most monumental work is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. There, he cleverly juxtaposed the built environment with its angular masses and geometric patterns against his soft, amoeba-like shapes. He encloses his work within the frame of the built walkways and parking area, but pushes out along those edges, making the viewer wonder if the work begins at the edge and goes out, or if it closes in from the outside toward the center.
Roy's choice of material refers directly to the controversial 1987 photograph by Andres Serrano, Piss Christ, which depicted a plaster crucifix submerged in a glass tank of the artist's urine. And in bravely using urine as his medium, Roy makes it clear that he has absolutely no fear of controversy. In fact, he relishes in appropriating the inappropriate.
Roy's creation represents to us a wonderful expression of the two principal tenets of urology. The bladder is the seat of the soul, and urine is liquid gold.
Roy declined to be interviewed, but he did consent to be filmed at the site of his New Mexico magnum opus. He believes his work speaks for itself, and clearly it does, leaving us much to fathom and much to ponder. With his silence, Roy asks us to consider the very nature of art and to meditate on the art that is nature. Indeed, as his art changes with the seasons, he forces us to confront our own mortality as our lives change from season to season. Roy is a true revolutionary who is changing the way we see art. He will be considered by future art historians as the equal of a Picasso, O'Keeffe, or Warhol. While artists like Willem de Kooning invented and defined abstract expressionism, Roy is first and foremost in abstract excretionism.
Roy, I know in the past you've been hesitant to give interviews, but I thought artist to artist, we might share a moment here, and you could maybe explain what your motivation is when you feel the first movement to approach the vocation, the work, and when you know you're done. You know, when you know, it's every artist sort of needs to know when to step away, when you've reached completion. Losing fingertips here.